Okay, so today we'll discuss about the workflow. What does it mean by the workflow and why we are using it? So, first of all, workflow is just simple automated tool. Okay, it's just simpler automated tool. That means each here it's a collections of the steps. Like I'll give you one example. Like we'll send the spam messages. Okay, uh, we will retrieve the spam messages from the company. So this is nothing but the example of the workflow. Okay, so consider this one is the spam message and it is sending from the company. Consider this one is our company. So they knows that when somebody log in to this website, that time we have to send the messages. Okay, so here we don't have any client or any developer who will responsible for sending the messages. Like here we don't have anything. Here this company will set automatically. They have uses some tools, and by using that tools they have automatically sending the messages to our mobile. Simple. So this is the thing. If you want to achieve something automatically in your AEM, like consider uh, this is your user, like this is the website you have made it. Like here this is the registration. So when you are writing your first name, last name and the mobile number, and here we have a email ID and the password. So when you fill this information here, you are just clicking on the submit button. So we have to give something like you have successfully login. So how we can send? So for that we just have to send the message on the Gmail. Yeah, exactly. So at what time they are logging we don't know, no. So that time we just do one thing. Here we are registering. Okay, we are just registering inside this page. Okay, so we'll simply perform the workflow on these pages. Okay, so again I'll tell you, like whenever you want to perform some automatic task in your AEM, for that we'll go with the AEM, we'll go with this workflow. Okay, so how we can write the workflow? So here it is a collections of steps. So consider this one is your workflow. Okay, this one is your workflow. So how we can write it? It's just simple box. Okay, it's just simple box. So workflow is a collections of the steps, and each step inside this, each individual step we write some business logic, and this business logic will perform when we will execute this workflow. Okay, so consider this one is our step, and inside this we have written some logic. Okay, inside this step we have some written some logic, and once this step will execute, after that we just want to execute this second step. Later that here we have a third, and here we have a fourth, and after that we just want to accomplish our workflow. Otherwise we just want to end our workflow. So here we have a end of the workflow, and here we have a start of the workflow. These both are the out of the box steps. Okay, now I'll tell you. Here this one is our workflow, and inside this here we have a lot of steps, and here we have a two types of steps. First one, it's out of the box. That means Adobe has already created, we just simply need to use it. Like I'll give you one example. If you want to create the version, okay, when this is the page, now what I want, this one is my page, and whenever I am just creating a new page, that time I just want to create the version. Okay, I just want to create the versions of this page. So how I can do that thing? So we'll just simply go with this workflow. Here we'll write some logic, but when we are trying to create the version, it will take a lot of time for creating this workflow. Okay, so for that they have already created the step. We just simply need to use it. Okay, now I'm just telling it. Now I'll just show you here. Okay, just come here. Yeah, so here you see, when you are clicking in this tool, here we have options of the workflow. You just have to click here. So when you are clicking this, you just have to go inside this model. Okay, I have came here. After that you can just select anyone, and just you can just simply edit it. These are the out of the box, some of the out of the box models. Yeah, this is nothing but the workflow, and some of customize. Okay, so here we have a workflow. They haven't given the permissions to edit this, so we'll do one thing, we'll create our own. But before that we have to discuss about this workflow model. What does it mean by the workflow model? Okay, so now here you see this one is our step, that is start workflow, and here consider like I have inserted the version. This is our create version step. After that here I have a end. Okay, so where we can write these steps, so we can write this step inside our workflow model. Okay, first thing we can just simply write this all the stuff inside our workflow model. Okay, and workflow model is responsible to write only the steps. After that, how we can call this workflow model? Once we have created the workflow model, we have to call it. So how we can call? So here we can call the workflow model by using three ways. First, by using the API and the code. You have to write some code and you can just simply execute this workflow model. Second, by using a manually. Okay, here we need a human interactions, like whenever you just want to execute this, you have to go and you have to start this workflow. And third one, by using a launcher. Launcher is nothing but the automatic. Okay, you can just simply fill some information in this launcher. So for that we just have to create first launcher first, later that we have to write some information, and by using based on this information this workflow model will execute. Okay, and here we have some out of the box steps. So I am just giving, like here we have a container step. This is the out of the box container step. First, what does it mean by this container step? So like consider here we have a workflow model. Okay, and this workflow model you want to call in some another workflow model. This one is our current workflow model, and this model you want to call in some another workflow model. Then we can go with this container step. Okay, after that here we have a participant step. Okay, participant step, what does it mean by participant? So here we need a human interaction. Like consider this one is my step, and if you want to go from first to second and you have uses this participant step inside this first, then we need a human interaction, like it will show some buttons and we have to click in this button, then it will go to this second step. Okay, after that here we have a decision step. Okay, decision step, that means or an and condition, or an and condition. Okay, so here if you want to, here we have a two step. Okay, and based on that, okay, here if you want to perform some condition on this two step, then you can just simply use this or. Otherwise you can just simply go with this and. If you want both conditions should be satisfied, then you can just simply use this and if you want any one condition should satisfied, then you can go with this or. You guys have some idea, I know already, because you have already learned the Java. So this is the condition based. Okay, and at the last here we have a process step. Here at the last here we have a process step. What does it mean by the process step? So here I have already told you about this out of the box step, but when you want to create your own customized step, then we have to go with this process step. So this process step will help you to create the custom step. Simple. Yeah, these are the out of the box, but here if you want to add the custom step, then you can just simply go with this process step. Yeah, exactly. And where we perform this workflow model, so we'll perform this workflow model on pages and assets. Okay, assets, you already knows that asset, that means assets is responsible for storing the resources, and resources may be your images, photos and some files. These are nothing but your resources. So when you want to perform on some photos on the videos, then you can just go with this workflow, and later that in the pages as well. Okay, this is the thing. Yeah, so now we'll just go and just try to create the workflow first, workflow model. So here we have to come first here inside this tools, and here we have a workflow. But inside, when you are clicking in this workflow, here we have a 5 tools: workflow, instances, launcher, and here we have a archive and failure. So in case your workflow has failed, so this failed workflow will show inside this failure tool, inside this. Okay, all your successful workflow will show inside your archive. Here we have archive tool. Inside that, all the failure workflow will all the successful workflow will show. If your workflow has executed successfully, then it will show inside this archive. Okay, later that, here we have instances. Okay, like consider your workflow has started but it hasn't executed. Okay, it's still running, so that means your instances, that means your workflow is running now. So all your running workflow will store inside your instances. So right now I don't have any running workflow, so that's why it's not showing anything. Okay, and at the here we have a model and the launcher. So I have already told you, if you want to create a workflow, then we have to go with this model anyhow. Okay, your workflow will not create without this model, so you have to create this workflow model, yeah, first. And if you want to perform, like when you have created this model and at the last you want to execute this workflow by using a launcher, then you can just go with this launcher tool. Okay, now I'm just going for creating the models, workflow model. So here we have option that is create. Okay, you can just create model and you can just name it. So here what we are doing, we are creating the page, we are creating the versions of the page. Okay, page version creation. So this is the name that I have given. You can just simply save it. Okay, come here. Here they see, when I'm just opening this, see, I have seen now. See, they have uses the OR split. OR is nothing but our OR condition. That means here we have two branches. So if any one branch is satisfied, then it will end. So here this is the example of this OR. Now we have created this workflow. Here you see, here we have, you can just simply open it. Okay, once you have opened, so see, here we have a workflow start and workflow end. So you are not able to change this, but if you want to add some steps, okay, some out of the box or the customized step, then you can just go inside this workflow, you can just add the steps. Okay, so now where it will store, when I have created this workflow model, so where it has stored, so it has stored inside your CRXD. We already knows that whenever we'll create one any code, anything, so it will store inside our CRXD only. Okay, but where? Okay, so where it will store inside our CRXD. So now we'll see. So it will store inside two places. First, that is config, and second is the var. Here we have a var folder and here we have a config folder, that is configuration. So it will store inside the conf. Here we have a global, and global have the settings, and setting have this workflow. Okay, so inside this workflow our workflow will store. So just try to refresh it. Okay, so this page version creation, so we'll see, yeah, we have opened this page version creation. That means this is the version has created. See, this page version creation, this is the model has created now. Okay, so it has stored inside this, and at the last it will store in your var folder. This is workflow. Var have workflow, workflow have model, and models have your all the workflows. Now you can just go, that is page version creation. Yeah, this is the thing. And here you see, when I'm just going inside the nodes, here how many nodes we have, that is step 1. Yeah, this step 1, this step 2, and here we have a step 3. So it will show the 3 nodes. See? Node 0, node 1 and node 2. Okay, that is title, that is step 1. So now just go there and see here we have a step 1. Okay, so now the thing is, it's this, here our workflow is storing inside this var folder. What does it mean by this var? Why it is storing inside this var? So initially your workflow will create inside this conf. Okay, initially, but when your Sling try to execute the workflow, it will come inside your var folder. It will not go inside your config. Okay, it's just simply a folder structure, but all your running instances, that means your Sling want to execute the workflow, then he will come, okay, it will come inside this inside this var folder. Here we have a var, and var have this workflow, and workflow have our current workflow. Okay, so now here you see, here we have a 3 nodes. Okay, so your sling will execute these 3. Your sling will go inside your workflow, it will not go inside your config. Okay, yeah. So now I'll just show you one thing, like if I'll just try to delete this one. Okay, I have deleted. Now I'm just coming here and I'm just trying to refresh this. See, still here we have a 3 nodes, but I have deleted from here, but still we have this 3 nodes. So why it's not reflecting here? Whatever the changes that I'm doing, this changes is not reflecting here. Why? Okay, so why it's not reflecting? Because of we haven't synced. Okay, we have to sync anyhow. So whatever the changes we are doing, when you sync, then it will reflect inside this var folder. Here inside this var folder, all the changes will reflect, otherwise it won't reflect. Okay, so now I'm just syncing. I have synchronized. So now when we have sync, now just go there and just try to refresh it. So we have deleted this node 0, node 1. See, this node 1 has gone. Sorry, something has gone, that is node 0, node 1 and node 2 is there, no? So one thing has gone, that is this step 1. Okay, so now I'm just inserting. Now I'm just inserting the page version. Here we have a create version. So now I'm just inserting this step, and this one is a out of the box steps. Okay, so we don't need to create it. Yeah, so that is done, and we have to select here. Okay, otherwise it won't run. Okay, we have selected. Come here, and here we have a lot of steps. Whatever the step you want, you can just simply drag and drop it. Here we have a lot of steps. Okay, so whenever you are just doing some changes, we have to sync it. We already know. Just sync and just come here and just see. Now you will see the one node, that is node 1. Okay, done. Yeah, this thing is done. Now we have sync it. Now we have to run. So how we can run? So first we will see how we can execute this workflow by using a manually. Okay, so when we will talk about the manual, then we have to come here and we have to start the workflow. Okay, so this nothing but the start workflow. What we are doing a manually. We are trying to running our workflow manually. So they will ask for the payload. And what does it mean by the payload now? Okay, payload is nothing but your assets and the pages. That means where we will apply this. I already told you, we can apply this workflow model on the pages and the assets. Okay, we can apply our workflow on the pages or the assets. So whenever we will talk about this payload is nothing but the assets and the pages. Okay, so you can just simply browse it. Okay, now where you want to apply? So I just want to apply on this page. Which one? That we have already, demo, US, and here we have a EN. And just simply select it. Now I have selected. Now I'm just giving the name, page version created. This is the name that I have given, and just simply run it. So when we will run, so now our workflow has executed. Now we will go there and we'll see our version has created or not. Come here, localhost 4502 and hit enter. Come here, where we have applied on this demo, in this demo project. So we have to come here and just click this one. After that, here we have option. Here you see, here we have content only, content tree, and the timeline, references, and the filter. So we have to select this timeline. Okay, see here, now our new version has created, that is 1.0. See, a few seconds ago our version has created. You want to see? Now just go inside this, and here you see at the left hand side our new version has created. Okay, so our workflow manually has executed successfully. Now we can go with the launcher. So how we can do that thing? So for that, you just have to go inside your workflow. Here we have options of, here we have one tool, that is launcher. You can click and create your launcher. Here we have a out of the box launchers. Okay, some of the out of the box launcher is there. You can create your own. So here I am just creating. Yeah, that's done. Now what I'm doing, I'm just modifying. Okay, I'm not creating, I'm just here, that is the event. So when you will perform this event, then your workflow will call. Okay, your workflow will run. So here we have a event types. Now I'm just going for the modification. So when I modify, what I'm saying, when I modify, I just want to create, I just want to call this workflow. Okay, so for that you have to select the node type, what the things you want to modify. So I just want to modify the CQ page. So when somebody try to modify the CQ page, then this workflow will call. Where it has CQ page, here we have all the nodes where you want to perform, you can just simply select. Yeah, so I just want to perform on the CQ page. Okay, here I just want to perform the CQ page, but where you want to perform your model, so you have to give the path first. Path is nothing but your payload. So where you want to perform, on a page or assets, so you have to select the path from here. Next, and here we have a demo, so I'm just selecting entire things. Now you can just save it. So it has applied for all your pages. Okay, why? Because you have selected this demo one. So what, when now if you go inside this demo and you are trying to create the page or the modify something, then that time your page will create. But now what I'm doing, I'm just selecting one, that is EN. I'm just selecting this EN. Okay, I have selected this EN now. Okay, here right now I'm just in the author mode, so I have selected the author. Let it be about this. Here we have a model. Now I'll tell you here which model you want to perform. So see, consider somebody try to modify something from this EN page, where it will modify from your CQ page. When somebody try to modify your CQ page on this path, then this workflow model will execute. So which workflow model? Here we have given the create something page version, so we have to go with P, where it has, yeah, this is the page version creation. You can just simply select. So this version we just want to run it. Okay, and at the last here we have a activate. Okay, so maybe some cases will there you don't want to execute this workflow, so you can just simply deactivate, but don't delete it. Okay, because of here we have options, that is activate and deactivate. So in some cases you don't want to execute this workflow, so you can just simply deactivate this. But when you want to execute, when you want to perform this workflow automatic, then that time you can just simply select and just create it. Okay, so we have created the workflow. Now you just have to go there and just try to modify something. So now I'm just going inside this page, where here we have a sites, go content only and just open this site and just try to update something from this website. Okay, here I have came. Now I'm just deleting this hello world, and again I'm just adding at the down. Okay, here we have hello world, so we have added. Now just try to refresh it. Again just try to click here. Yeah, this one we have modified. Come here, timeline we have. See, again our version has created. See, this one is created before 5 minutes. Yeah, it has applying 2 times. Why? First of all, we have deleted something in our hello world, so that time this version has applied. After that we have added the hello world. First of all, we have deleted the hello world from here, and after that at the last we have added this hello world, so that's why it has created twice. Okay, where it is, yeah, so it has created twice. Okay, just keep in mind, whenever we are trying to execute the workflow, that time we need 2 things. Okay, so whenever we are trying to execute, that time we need 2 things. That is, first, that is payload. Payload is nothing but your asset or your pages. Okay, so keep in mind you are performing the workflow on these assets or the pages. Sometimes you have to replicate. What does it mean by the replicate? Like when somebody click on the here, this is your website, consider, and you have changes something, and now you are thinking like this website is looking good and it's a finalized. So what we will do, you will publish the page. When you publish, so all the changes will where it will store inside the publish instance. Here this one is our author instance. Okay, so all the changes here we can develop and all the things will do inside this author. And when we think like this website is finalized, then we'll transfer that will this website will move to this publish instance. Is it no? So how we are doing these things? When somebody trying to clicking here, that means we are performing something, no? We are performing the workflow only. So all the changes will go inside this publish. Okay, so this is the thing. Yeah, so when we will execute by using the programmatically or the by using the API and the code, that time we need two things. First, that is payload, and second one is a workflow model. Okay, these are the two things we need. And by using some API here, workflow, that means Adobe has already provided some out of the box API. By using this API, we can easily get the workflow model and the payload. Yeah, so we have to use this. So here we have a session API. Okay, so we haven't discussed about the we till now we haven't discussed the API and the program, like we haven't write any program. So for the today we'll stop here, and from tomorrow onward we'll start the programmatically. Okay, so now I'm just closing this session here only. If you guys having any issue, just ping me on chat. Thank you.